Good afternoon, students. I welcome you all for the class. Today, we are going to discuss regarding asynchronous serial transfer. Fine. Uh, when we are going to start regarding this asynchronous serial transfer, we are going to have uh, data transfer techniques. Like as we have seen the data transfer, like what are the two data transfer techniques are? The first one is a serial transfer and the second one is the parallel transfer. Fine. This data transfer in computer organization has been divided into two. The first one is synchronous data transfer, and the second one is asynchronous data transfer. So these are the two modes of data transfer. So data can be transferred from source to destination in synchronous mode or in asynchronous mode. What do you mean by synchronous mode? So synchronous mode in the sense all the two devices, the source and the destination, are going to be at a same clock pulse. At a same clock pulse. So the data is going to be shared at the same clock pulse. So that type we are going to say it as a synchronous data transfer. So when it comes to the asynchronous data transfer, in this asynchronous data transfer, we are going to have again two classifications: asynchronous serial transfer and asynchronous parallel transfer. Fine. Synchronous in the sense when the clock pulse, the CPU clock pulse is going to synchronize with the source and the destination, then we are going to say that it is a synchronous transfer. When we are going to say this an asynchronous transfer, so we are going to have two devices, source and the destination. This source has an independent clock and this destination is also going to have the independent clock. So both are going to have different clocks but not the same clock. This type of transfer, data transfer, we are going to say it as an asynchronous data transfer. Synchronous in the sense if source and the destination both works on the same clock pulse, then we are going to say that it is a synchronous data transfer. If a source is having its own independent clock and destination is going to work with its own independent clock, then we are going to say it as an asynchronous data transfer. Again, this asynchronous data transfer is divided into two categories. The first one is the serial transfer and the second one is the parallel transfer. So serial transfer in the sense, suppose if you take a wire or if you take a path, serial transfer in the sense the bits are going to be transmitted like this. Fine. In the in the serial wise, one by one, the bits are going to be transmitted like this. When it comes to the parallel transfer, so this is the source and this is the destination. Here we are going to have the source and here we are going to have the destination. So parallel transfer in the sense if you want to transfer a character consists of 8 bits, right? So a character consists of 8 bits. So each bit will be flowing on each cable or each line. So 0th bit, 1 bit, 0th bit, 1 bit, 0th bit, 1 bit, 0th bit, 1 bit. So this is how the data is going to be transferred from source to destination. Fine. Parallelly. Here this method is very fast. Why? Because at once all the bits are going to be transferred from source to destination. But when it comes to the serial data transfer, here if you have observed it, these are going to be like clock pulse as I have said you. So what do you mean by a clock pulse? So this is a high state, that means one state. When it comes to down, it is a zero state. When it is coming up, it is an high state. When it comes to zero, it is going to be the uh, zero at the state. So this is how the data transfer is going to be done when coming to this uh, hello. చెప్పండి. 1 లీటర్ ఉందా? సరే 2 పంపించండి. 1 లీటర్ పైకి వస్తాడా వాచ్‌మెన్? అవునా? సరే వాచ్మెన్ కి సరే వాచ్మెన్ అవునా సరే వాచ్మెన్ కి ఇచ్చేయండి కొంచెం తొందరగా తెమ్మని చెప్పండి అమౌంట్ ఎంత 1 లీటర్ 2 పంపించండి ఎంత అమౌంట్ ఎంత అవునా ఓకే ఓకే 130 రూపీస్ కదా నేను సరే సరే నేను గూగుల్ పే చేసేస్తా చూడండి అమౌంట్ ఓకే థ్యాంక్ యూ So when it comes to the serial transfer, what it is going to happen in the sense, so here, as I have said you, this clock rising edge, we call it as a 1 and falling edge, we call it as a 0. And again, raising edge is 1 and falling edge, we call it as a 0. Fine. So here, when we are going to have this 0, 1, 0, 1, 0 1 0 1, like how it will be is 0 in the sense it is a falling edge, 1 in the sense raising edge, and again 0 in the sense falling edge, 1 rising, and again 0 falling, 1 rising, 0 falling, and 1 rising. This is how the pulses are going to be diagrammatically represented. Fine. So this is the brief introduction regarding the data transfer. So data transfer in the sense we have to transfer the data from source to destination. Like in how many ways we are going to transfer that data? Like we can transfer the data in synchronous mode, and also we can transfer the data in asynchronous mode. Synchronous and asynchronous. What do you mean by synchronous? Synchronous in the sense like if you want to send the data from source to destination, like both source and destination will be using the same clock pulse, the CPU timer or a CPU clock pulse, so that there will be no delay. Why? Because like suppose for example we have our timetable schedule, right? At 3 o'clock CO class is posting, in the sense everybody will not post at that time. Why? Because it is particularly allocated for CO subject. In the same manner, like if both are tuned to a particular time, in the sense both will be waiting. Sender is going to ready to send the data and receiver is going to receive the data. So whenever the sender has sent the data, automatically at that time the receiver is in active state, so that it is going to take the data. So that is the synchronous mode. We don't have much of the problem when it comes to the synchronous mode. But when it comes to the asynchronous mode, like according to their own wish, according to their source wish, source is going to transfer the data. Whenever the destination is free, the destination is going to receive the data. What it is going to happen is sometimes the data is going to be missing, or sometimes the data is going to collapse with the other data. So there will be many problems in the asynchronous mode. So according to their own clocks, it is going to work. So that is the asynchronous mode. So we are mainly concentrating on the asynchronous data transfer in our syllabus. Fine. So when we are going to transfer the data in asynchronous mode, there are two ways of transferring the data. We can transfer the data in serially, or else we can transfer the data in parallel mode. Parallel mode in the sense from the source to destination, we'll be going to have number of lines as I have represented over here. So each line is going to carry 1 bit of data. So if you are going to take a character consists of 8 bits. Fine. So character consists of 8 bits. So if you want to send a character from source to destination, each wire carries a 1 bit of data. So at a glance, the source is going to send and destination is going to receive. So the transfer rate, the data transfer rate is going to be fast when we are going to talk in asynchronous parallel transfer. Here in your syllabus, we are going to have the asynchronous serial transfer. So in this asynchronous serial transfer, like in a single wire, we are going to transfer the data serially one by one. So all the bits are going to be transferred from source to destination, one bit after another bit. So here is the representation, how we are going to representation the bits. The 0 indicates the falling bits and 1 indicates the rising edge. So here, so this is the source, sender, and receiver, the destination. This is the destination. So here we'll be going to have a problem that, so when a source is sending a particular character to a destination, here in serial mode, what is the technique we are going to do is, we are going to add a start bit and we are going to add a stop bit to the character. So this is our character. So this is 8 bits is our character. So we are going to add a stop bit and a stop bit for this character. So as I have said you, our character is of how many bits? 8 bits. And we are going to add extra 1 bit, that is the start bit, and we are going to add another extra bit, that is the stop bit. Totally 11 bits are going to be transferred for one transfer. Fine. So here, why we are going to add the start bit and the stop bit, like the destination, in order to have a destination, a proper idea. So if the destination reaches a 0, in the sense like it is an indication that the character is going to start. After that, 8 bits are going to be sent. Whenever the destination receives a two high signals, that is 1, so active signals 2 at a time, it is an indication that end of the character that has been sent. So here I'll be showing you the diagram so that you can understand very much clearly. So this is how the serial transfer is going to be working. Serial transfer in the sense, on a single wire we are going to transfer the data bit by bit. So this is how the clock pulses, the bits are going to be indicated. 0 indicates the falling edge and 1 indicates the rising edge or active edge. Fine. So here, when we are going to send any character, the character consists of 8 bits. Along with this 8 bit, we are going to add the start bit and also we are going to add the stop bit. Totally 11 bits we are going to transfer. Why? What is the need of a start bit and the stop bit? In the sense, in order to have the clear cut idea that the data has been started transmission and the data has been ended, we are going to make use of the start bit and the stop bit. Fine. So this is how we'll be going to have the asynchronous serial transfer. So now going to the theory, asynchronous mode of data transfer is used in two components, have a different clock, as I have said you. So independent clocks will be there. Independent clocks will be there. So different clocks. So data transfer and occur between in two ways. First one is the serial way and the second one is the parallel way. So in parallel, multiple lines are used to send a single bit, whereas in serial, we are going to make use of a single line to send bit by bit at a time. Here in serial transfer, we are going to add a 2 bits, that is the start bit, and also we are going to use the stop bit. The start bit is denoted by 0 and the stop bit is denoted by 1. So when at least we are going to have a 1 in the sense, then it is an end of the data transfer. So when a character is not being sent, the line is going to be kept in the active state. When the character starts sending, then we'll be going to have the 0, that is the start bit. Then our 8 bits of data is going to be sent. Then again the line will be in active state. Why? Because active in the sense there is no character or end of the character. So this is the asynchronous serial transfer. So this is how we'll be going to send the data. So here, this is the character bit. These 8 bits are the character bits here. These 8 bits are the character. 0 is the falling edge and 1 is the rising edge. So here we are going to add the start bit and the stop bit for this. So here 0 in the sense start bit and 1 in the sense a stop bit. If 1 is coming 2 times in the sense, that is the indication that end of the data that has been sent. So this is the asynchronous serial transfer. And another important topic is asynchronous communication interface. Fine. What do you mean by asynchronous communication interface? So asynchronous communication interface in computer architecture is very, very important. This synchronous communication interface is also called as USRT, Universal Synchronous Asynchronous Transfer. So it is also called as USART, Universal Synchronous Serial Asynchronous Receiver and Transmitter. So it acts as a both receiver and the transmitter. So that is the reason we are going to call it as an asynchronous communication interface. So here, in this interface, this asynchronous interface is initialized with the help of the, first we'll be going to see the theory and then we'll be going for the working. So it functions both as a transmitter as well as a receiver. So this interface is initialized for a particular mode of transfer by means of a control byte that is loaded in the control register. So here, when you have seen the diagram, this is the diagram showing the asynchronous communication interface. Fine. Here, we are going to have transmitter register, shift register, control register, transmitter control and clock, receiver control and clock, shift register. This is the timing and control unit. CS stands for chip select, RS stands for register select, RD is IO read, and WR is right. Here the bus buffer, this is the internal bus, this is the bidirectional data bus. So this is an interface. We call it, this is an asynchronous communication interface. This interface is initialized with the help of a control bit loaded in the control register. First, the control bit, it may be a 0 or it may be a 1, that is going to be loaded in the control register. The transmitter register, here we can find the transmitter register. This transmitter register accepts the data from the CPU through what? Through, here the data bus is there na, through this data bus. Fine. So through this data bus, here this here we'll be going to connect the CPU over here. Fine. So here, listen carefully. This transmitter register accepts the data from the CPU. Here, that CPU is connected over here through the data bus, and then it is transferred to the shift register for the serial transmission. So this is the first point. So transmitter register is going to accept the data from the CPU through what? Through this data bus, and then this is going to be transferred, this data is going to be transferred to the shift register for what? For serial communication. For serial communication, we'll be going to make use of this shift registers. This serial information is received into another shift register. So here another shift register, receive data is there na here. So this, whatever the information that is transmitted over here is, this information is going to be received by this another shift register, and this is going to be transmitted to this receiver register when a complete data is accumulated. Fine. So once the transmitter register send the data to the shift register, why we are going to send data to the shift register? In order to transfer it serially. So when this data is transmitted, it is going to be collected by the receiver data and transferred to shift register. This data is going to be transferred to the receiver register. So when a complete data byte has been transferred. So now the bits in the status register, whatever the bits that are going to be there in the status register, these bits are used to check any errors during the transmission for input and output flags. So this status register purpose is to check for errors. To check for error. So the bits in the status register are used for checking the errors. Here, the chip select input is there. Now, this chip select input is used to select the interface. This interface, fine, through this address bus, whatever the address bus we are giving. So with that address bus, this chip select is used to select the interface. That is the purpose of this shift select. And here the RS register is there, that is register select. So this register selected is select is associated with read and write. Two registers are read and write only. So this is how this interface parts are going to be done. So when you are going to see the functional value, so chip select is not selected, we are not going to perform any of the operation. No operation is going to be done. So when the chip select is going to be one, then only the write operation or read operation will be done, and the corresponding transmitter register, if it is 1 0, the write operation is going to be done and transmitter register is going to be selected. If chip select is 1 and read select is 1, then write operation is going to be done, the control register is going to be selected. If chip select is 1 and the RS is 0, then it is going to have the read operation, receiver register is going to be selected, and if it is 1 1, it is a read operation, status register is going to be selected. This is how the operation is going to be taking place. So here the working of the interface, how the interface is going to work. So the interface is, as I have said you, this interface is initialized by the CPU by sending a bit to the control register, right? By sending a bit to the control register. Here we are sending a bit to the control register. These two, the 2 bits in the status register, so here the 2 bits in the status register are used as flags. So 1 bit, 2 bits are there na, so first bit is used for whether the transmitter register is empty. The first bit is used to check whether the transmitter register is empty, and the second bit is used for whether the receiver register is full. So if these two cases are there, we can't transfer the any data. Why? Because if transmitter data is empty, we can't transfer any of the data. So that is the reason the status bits are used for checking that the transmitter register should not be empty. Some of the data should be there in order to transmit the data. And also the second bit is used to check whether the receiver register is full. If the receiver register is full, if suppose if the stack is full, can we insert any of the element? No. So that is the reason the receiver register should be empty, and not empty, should have some gap in order to receive the data from the transmitter register. So this is the working of the interface. So what is the working of this transmitter register is, so here the working of the transmitter portion and receiver portion we will be going to study. So the working of this transmitter portion is, here the CPU reads the status register. Why? Because it has to check whether the transmitter register is not empty and receiver register is not full. So the check the transmitter. If the transmitter is empty, the CPU transfers the character to the transmitter. If the parallel transfer to character takes place from transmitter register to the shift register. Why? Because in order to have the serial transfer, the data is going to be transmitted from transmitter register to the shift register. Then the after transmitting, then the transmitter register is marked empty. If it is empty, then only the CPU is going to transmit 1 bit to the transmitter register. If it is full, CPU can't transfer any sort of data. So that CPU can transfer another character to transmitter register after checking the this flag in the status register. So that is the part of the working of the transmitter. And what is the working of the receiver is, if the receiver input is 1, so here this receiver input data here, if this receiver input data is 1 state, or when the line is idle, the receiver control monitors the receiver data line. So in order to check whether any data has been arrived or not. So here the character bits are shifted to the shift register 1 bit, 1 bit after 1 bit. So this is how the bits are going to be transmitted from transmitter register to the receiver register. So the interface checks for any errors during the transmission. So that is the advantage of this asynchronous communication interface. So the three possible errors that we are going to get are, the first one is the parity error, and the second one is the framing error, and the third one is the overflow error, overrun or overflow error. So these are the three errors that we are going to get commonly. So this is how asynchronous communication interface is going to be working. So we have seen how the interface is going to be added. The CPU will send a control bit to the control register, then this interface is going to be added. What is the uh, how the working of a transmitter register, in the sense CPU will check the status register. If the transmitter register is empty, then it is going to send a bit. Then this parallelly this bit is sent to the shift register. After shift register it transmits the data. This transmitter register is marked empty so that the CPU can send another data. When it comes to the receiver, if the receiver data input is 1, so it is an indication that the data is available. So the CPU receiver register always checks the receiver data whether any data is available. If the data is available, that receiver register is going to take the data. And if the receiver register is full, we can't keep any sort of data in the receiver register. So this is how the synchronous communication interface is going to be working. So this is the theoretical part of this asynchronous communication interface, and the working, how the working of the interface is going to be done, working of a transmitter portion and working of the receiver portion. So I'll be sending you the notes also. So by listening this video, after listening this video, you go through the notes by seeing the diagram and what the explanation I have given to you, so that it will be very much clear to you in order to understand clearly. So that is how the synchronous serial transfer is going to be done, and asynchronous communication interface, USART, universal serial receiver transmitter, is going to be working. So that is for today's class, and in the next class we'll be going to deal with another topic in the second unit. And that's all for today's class. Thank you all students. Have a great day.